Welcome to the Spirits, Angels, and Guides Oh My podcast.
Where the supernatural gets real, baby. Nan,
Hey, Tara.
it's about that time.
I'm so excited to see you again. We have a really good thing lined up for tonight. It's going to be fun.
Okay, I'm good. I'm here
Well,
for it. I know a little bit about it, not a lot, but a little bit this time.
I
So,
guess the topic itself isn't fun. It actually traumatized the gal who was helping me with our research briefly. Um,
oh,
but yeah, so but that's okay because she's going forward not going to help us with our research anymore, and so we're not going to traumatize her anymore. But she said it was one of the most disturbing things she had researched for us. So
shut up! Oh my goodness, I'm intrigued. Is this a trigger warning for people?
yes,
Are we
that's what.
like, okay, there's gonna be a little something something? What's the trigger warning look like, girlfriend?
Well, it just we're going to be talking about a lot of blood. So if that bothers
Uh-oh.
you, then you might want to just go to the next episode, which will be equally fascinating and fun. But before we get to this week's topic, I wanted to tell you something fun that I learned, and I feel
Oh,
you're going to appreciate this.
okay.
Um, for all the people who are just joining us, Tara and I are avid animal lovers. For those of you who know us and have followed us for a while, you're going to get a good chuckle at this. So, I'm the one who does the research. I deep dive. I read scientific articles in the morning. I do all of these things. And so this article comes across my phone this morning. And I haven't quite read it yet, but I have to tell you the premise of it, Tara, because you're going to die laughing.
I'm here.
So the topic is wolves and how they became domesticated animals. Dot, dot, dot. It was most likely for the snacks. So wolves allowed
I
them.
understand that.
Me too.
I understand that with my full chest.
Me too. And the premise of it was that
The snacks, baby.
it's all about the snacks and that they allowed themselves to become domesticated because they loved the fact that food was being given to them easily. They didn't have to hunt for food, so they were becoming a bit lazy. But then on top of that, like the fact they loved the snacks, they loved the fact Scooby snacks that
I
people
just
just
like the word snack. Can we just all say snack? I'd like a snack, please. Snacks, yes, please. Oh, okay, but wolves are domesticated?
well, they're just saying that's how they've traced the lineage from how animals, dogs in the wild, wolves, have eventually become like your little honey. You know, over time they've evolved, and it's all been by food motivation, which I completely relate to. And I
I'm just gonna
completely.
say amen, hallelujah. It's always about the food, baby.
So yeah, yeah. Wolves, snacks equals domesticated dogs. So.
Wolf, snacks, domesticated dogs, and Tara.
And Nan.
Right?
Yeah,
No
we got
lie
it.
detected.
Yeah, so there
Okay,
you
Nan,
go.
what are we doing today? What? And you guys, let's give Nan some accolades here because, you know, like we say, if you follow us, you know. If you know, you know. I am not the researching kind of person. I am the spirit just download it into my noggin and let me spew it out of the vessel here, right? But Nan does the work, and I love that.
Of course she does. Of course she loves that I do the work.
Hey, I'm trying to give you the accolades. I'm trying to say I appreciate. And I will get you some snacks.
Thank you. She's going to pay me in Scooby snacks for doing research. It's good. It's good. So,
So,
Tara, I gave you the notes to read ahead of time, and I really want you to read to our readers the first sentence, aka hook, on why people want to listen to this particular episode, and then I'll tell you the title after.
okay, well, I did read the title, and that's generally as far as I got.
Okay.
I'm still good for the next 2 weeks. Remember last week I didn't read anything. I read the wrong stuff. So I'm good for the next 2 weeks. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Some predators hunt with teeth and claws. Others Others hunt with ladles. What the fluff? Some predators hunt with teeth and claws. Others hunt with
Ladles.
And you said this has something to do with blood. I'm feeling grossed out already. Okay,
Right.
over to you, Nan. Over to you.
All right. So the title of this episode is The Atlas Vampire. So for anyone who is queasy or has a phobia of vampires, go to the next episode. For those of you who like a bit of a gory deep dive, we're going to start now.
Do I get to leave? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I can handle vampires. I love me some vampires.
Yes.
Love me some vampires. I can handle blood. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm going to give everybody the basic of the story, and then we're going to get to how this applies to the paranormal and to mediums and stuff like that, okay? So picture this, the darkened streets, 1932 of Stockholm. And I realize we end up going overseas a lot for this stuff, but just follow us.
I was going to say that to you. Ain't nothing happening in Canada? Even in the United States?
Well, it's interesting because I've just been researching actually vampires in Ontario, but I don't have enough research to bring to this particular podcast. So stay tuned if you're interested in, because I thought we need more Canadian content here. So we'll get to some of those Canadian stories. But for tonight,
we'll find you some Canadian vampires. We promise.
That's right. For tonight, we're in Stockholm. All right. So something's moving in the shadows, stalking a local sex worker. It thirsted, not for the usual pleasures of the flesh. Come on. I'm trying to give this artistic spin here. Follow me. She's laughing her face off.
I can't control myself. Okay, this is what it sounded like to me. Picture this. In the darkened streets of 1932 Stockholm, something moved through the shadows. Carry on, though. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
I'm shadow walking with you.
Thank you. So a local sex worker is being stalked for her blood. And when they find Lilly Lindeström's body, it's completely drained of blood. There's not one drop of it. They can't find.
Her name is Lilly Lindeström?
Lilly Lindeström.
You sure I'm not making up this shit?
Yeah. There's even a photo of her online. She's a cute little thing. I have all of the research notes, so if anybody really wants all of these, I can give them to you.
Okay, let's go back to Lilly and sex working Stockholm. Go.
Okay. So there she is. Lilly is Lily White because there's no blood left in Lily. I had to go there.
Oh my God, we're going to hell. Okay.
Sorry, Lily. Please forgive us. So the authorities are obviously going to search for her killer, but it's 1932. So folklore, all the old wives' tales, they run deep in Stockholm. And so there's darker possibilities. Is there ancient entities from Scandinavian folklore emerging sort of around this time? Now, there's a lot of immigrants there, right? So the Scandinavian tiny community, they have these old wives' tales. They have all of these old ladies, the bubbas, telling the stories handed down through time.
Do they have two shrunken heads?
No, that's the last episode. So
I'm just asking. They disappeared. Maybe they showed up somewhere.
They might have showed up there, a different timeline, but hey, we could do a whole episode on parallel timelines and, quantum leap jumping between shrunken heads and Atlas Vampire.
Okay, I'll be good now. Carry on.
Oh, she really won't, listeners, but that's okay. Please stay with us. We're having fun, and that's all that matters. That's why we do this. So, it's a spring morning in Stockholm in the Atlas district. 32-year-old sex worker named Lilly Lindeström fails to meet her friend and fellow worker, I don't know how else to put that. Minnie. So Minnie is very concerned after she hasn't heard from Lilly for several days. And she goes to Lily's apartment and alerts the building's supervisor. And together, that's where they make the grim discovery that is going to pretty much etch itself into the darkest pages of Swedish criminal history. But it's an unsolved mystery, which is also equally fascinating, but we'll get to that. So Lily's body was found face down on her bed, and I'm going to leave out some of the really gory details, but for those of you who love it, deep dive on this. She was completely naked, and it was noted she was probably dead for about 2 to 3 days. But the most particular part about this was that gave the investigators the EBGBs is the fact that there was no blood. She had been brutally beaten, particularly around the head, but there's no blood in her body. And the medical examiner confirms that she had been almost entirely drained of blood. Yet remarkably, there was almost no blood found at the crime scene except for a ladle that was discovered next to the body that was used to collect blood. That's where the ladle comes in. So
ladle.
Dreidel. Yeah, okay.
Oh, so, dreidel. Anyway, Tara doesn't know her South Park. Go on.
Okay. So they noted that obviously her position, she probably knew her attacker. She was a prostitute, so odds are it was someone who was probably purchasing.
Was a client.
But there's no signs of like forced entry and no evidence of a struggle or anything like that. So that's why they're thinking it was a client. But they've determined that she had been seen last alive the evening of May 1st when she contacted Minnie, telling her she was about to entertain a client and that the client she referred to is called the Stuffy Man. And
okay, I just wanted to interrupt here. I just want to say, how classy is it that I'm about to entertain someone? I don't know why I went with the Western 1800s thing, but
in Stockholm. Why are you Western?
I don't know, because I don't know what Stockholm sounds like. But but that whole like, I'm going to entertain someone. Hey, that's what they do now. Hey,
you would have been a great prostitute. Hey, want to come over? Hey.
Wow.
Your call to them, you would have had like one of those feather fans and batting it in front of your face. Hey,
I have that fan you bought me that says a sleigh.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Sleigh.
Well, what's this? Okay, let's stop. Stop, everyone. Reset. Okay. You know what? That man that sent us that comment's going to say, you guys take too long to get to the gist of it.
I know. Yeah. Haters going to hate. It's okay. I just really wish Lord Voldemort would come back because he was our biggest fan for a bit and I miss him. So, okay, we're digressing. So this mysterious visitor, her client, was the last person to see her alive. So let's examine what made this case kind of go from the realm of conventional crime over into our paranormal sort of territory. It's the absence of blood. And so obviously this poor woman being beaten to death and everything is awful, but where did the blood go? And the fact
she was actually beaten to death. So there should have been blood all over the place.
Exactly. Okay. But all that's there is a bloody ladle. And this led to like a really dark theory that the killer had actually collected and potentially consumed her blood.
Okay, but that's not unheard of in those. What year was this? Yeah, that's not unheard of. I mean, vampirism. That's not unheard of. So okay, so it's shocking and it's not common, but it's not unheard of.
Right, and that's what gave it the name of the Atlas vampire. So let's step back and consider the cultural context of this. So 1932 was only 15 years after the release of the vampire film Nosferatu, and the F.W. Monroe's unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So enter into cinema all of the whole hype around vampires and the mythology. And of course, you bring in the European culture of the folk tales about vampires and the fascination with blood drinking and all of this. So, ancient folklore in Sweden and much of Europe contained so many numerous accounts of creatures that preyed upon the living, draining their vital essence. You know, the relentless sort of unbaptized children's we're gonna get like it was a lot like my history is German, and like what we did to Santa to terrify children, a lot of this I feel was in Europe and Sweden as well. You were going to threaten the children into behaving properly by giving them a good vampire story, right?
Absolutely. And let's be honest, it comes back to the psychological thing, and we've been talking that a little bit about that a little bit in our podcasts. It comes back to the psychological things. We put something out there, and people with different mindsets, maybe they're not of sound mind, take it upon themselves and embody
Yes.
that. So, there's a good chance. I mean, I didn't read all of this, as we know, but I mean, you may be coming to tell us that, hey, someone did take. But you said this was it's unsolved, isn't it?
Right. So you take all this sort of lore in the films that are being produced and the folklore that's coming forward, and you add this poor woman found completely drained of every ounce of her blood. Of course, supernatural explanations are going to be part of the large population's analysis. So the official police investigation focused on the conventional stuff. So we're going to focus on the clients, the acquaintances, her circle, and there was samples taken from saliva found on her body. But this was way before DNA testing. So this evidence proved very little help. And despite an extensive investigation, no arrests were ever made. And I really feel this is kind of like that Jack the Ripper sort of stuff. Like they just didn't have the technology to do that at that time. So everyone tended to lean towards a paranormal explanation because they needed to solve something in their head, right?
Okay, and doesn't that kind of sound funny in a way that they needed to solve this, so they would go with a vampire? Right? Because most people are like, that's nonsense, that's bullcocky, and blah, 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 blah. But
Your vampire blood.
look at me. I'm doing Western 1800 prostitute. I'm doing my vampire. But isn't that strange, though, that people feel that need to go to that space?
Mhm.
You know what it reminds me of, Nan? It reminds me of when people have something really miraculous happen for them,
Yes.
and they can't understand it and or make logic of it in any way, and so they'll say, well, the angels came and saved me. Now, please don't get me wrong, I work with the angelic realm. I feel the angels. I know they exist to whatever degree, but we tend to go to a place where we have to come up with something. It cannot just be I don't understand it, or it cannot just be I don't know what this means. It has to have some kind of I don't know
Explanation. Yeah.
explanation for it. And so we go with things. We will make up shit
To ease our brain.
to ease our brain.
Well, and the facts of this case are what's really stood out. So there's a surgical precision in which the blood's been removed from her, especially with the fact with how many times she was struck, like for her physical, like she was beaten. And this was a lot of this was beyond any capabilities of an ordinary killer for 1932. The second is the absence of the blood anywhere at the crime scene. So it contradicts the pattern of a violent attack, right? Like you already mentioned. And so that's where some paranormal researchers are like, oh, this indicates a supernatural strength and supernatural control. And then the ladle is aligned with folklore where blood is collected for ritual purposes rather than consumed directly from wounds. So that's kind of been brought into it. And over the decades, various paranormal theories have emerged, and some have speculated that maybe the person belonged to an occult group
I was
practicing.
just going to say, baby, you're right on the same line. I was just going to say to you, this feels more satanic to me
Yeah.
because in the folklore of vampires, right? In the folklore of now, do I believe in vampires? I actually don't. I don't believe in vampires in the traditional folklore sense that they can turn into bats and you know all that stuff.
Hmm.
But I do believe that there's people that think they are vampires and partake in blood rituals and whatnot. For sure I do. And that, weirdly enough, my daughter even told me, bless my daughter's soul, let's keep her safe, that there is like clubs and stuff that like I mean they're
Yeah.
not practicing bloodletting, but they pretend to all be vampires and whatever.
Yeah. And
But
that was one of the other theories, was that the murderer might have suffered from what's called clinical vampirism or Rietveld syndrome. And it's a psychiatric condition where individuals believe they need to consume blood to maintain their vitality. But there's that fringe movement like your daughter was talking about, where they file their teeth and they want to be a vampire, right?
and the occult thing, no, the fact that this person beat her around the head, I think that's what you said. The fact that they did that is, they couldn't kill her any other way. You know, vampires are supposed to be able to entrance you and lull you and all this stuff. They don't beat your head in. So, so that feels more like it's just an absolute human, you know, a human thing, and
Mhm.
that it moves on to. What do you believe in vampires?
No, no, I believe there's people who believe they're vampires. Um, I believe there's a
Yeah,
lot of,
we believe in angels, we believe in ascended masters, we believe in all this other stuff. But again, I just there's nothing that's ever shown me there's a vampire.
yeah, and this particular case has been examined over and over and over the decades, and a lot of the modern forensic experts speculate that the killer had medical knowledge explaining the efficiency of the blood. Others noted certain details of the case that align with the profile of a sexually motivated serial killer. The beating part and the absence of blood is what confuses me. Like, I don't know if it's a Dexter situation, like the TV show Dexter, where there's maybe plastic laid down and it was taken away. I don't know. Um, but they've really never they've pursued a lot of promising leads, but I think that there just wasn't enough tools back in that time in order to help solve the case. But the case archives are at the Stockholm Police Museum. So the willing voyeurs who want to see the photographs of the crime scene and the victim that researchers describe as very unusually disturbing, even by the standards of violent crime, are there in the case files to draw people fascinated, which is also, it says a whole other thing. We should have a whole other podcast episode on society and our fascination with this. But it is totally compelling from a paranormal perspective, as far as the vampires. It just unfortunately has the absence of closure.
And that's really what it is, you know, like okay, so we don't have anything. You know, we follow, like you said, we follow a lot of true crime.
Yeah.
Shout out to crime junkies. I love you. Ash and Britt. But
Woo! That's
you
my
and your woo. Woo. Um you know, the absence of the closure, like now we don't know if it was a vampire. What if there is vampires? You know, being a psychic medium or an intuitive or whatever you call it does not give us supernatural powers. Everyone is a psychic, everyone's a medium, right? We're
Mhm.
not mind readers, we're none of those things. There are seers, there are, you know, different levels of tapping into things. But it would be really interesting, you know, to kind of sit with this and be like, okay, what more do I get? What can, you know, we all have guides, whether you believe it or not. We all have guides that work with us. It'd be interesting to see if there was anything that came up, you know, and be like, this is what I feel. What I really feel with this, with every ounce of my being, is
Mhm.
that it was more ritualistic. It was a crime of opportunity, very easy. Come in, sex worker.
Yeah.
She was entertaining. He stopped the entertaining, gathered what he needed, and you know, he probably thought she might not be missed, right? even nowadays when people go for people that do this type of work, I'm trying to come up with the politically correct name for it, and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah,
But when people go, they go for those people, they think they're on the fringes of society, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so they won't be missed. They'd be
And
so surprised now, because I'll tell you a little secret, Nan. There's
mm,
a lot of people doing that kind of work. Young people doing that kind of work that would sorely be missed. So all you people thinking you're vampires, leave them alone.
exactly. No vampires for our lovely ladies that are making a living
True that.
through that.
One final thing on this. One of the things I think is really important, and this even follows for you and I, Nan, as psychic mediums. Everyone is a psychic and a medium. Doesn't mean everyone should do the work. And what's happening is, how do I say this? A lot of people like the idea of what we do. People get used to it, and you'll see this. Do you know what it just reminded me of? Dogs that come into fashion. I remember when Rottweilers were the dog, and then it was Dobermans, then it was German Shepherds. Now you hardly ever see a Doberman or a Rottweiler anymore, right? Now it's Pit Bulls, and I love me some Pit Bulls. Shout out to Huggable as well. Nan's gonna be like, stop endorsing everyone, but
No, it's great.
but my thing is that people become enamored with the idea of certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that includes psychics and mediums. And I want to say, you have to find the right person, but they have to be authentic in the work they do.
Yes.
So please don't go looking for an authentic vampire, because they don't exist.
So, Tara, perhaps I think, one of the things that we said is just, the absence of those definitive answers, our mind naturally turns to explanations that transcend the ordinary. Right. And a lot of people, and all due respect to the people out there that are filing their teeth and want to be vampires, we all want to stand out and be unique. There's no shame. I'm not flinging anything at you. It's just be who you got to be. But I just don't feel vampires exist. I feel like a lot of people just needed answers because it gives us that peace of mind so we can sleep safely at night.
Why don't we do, Nan, and tell me what you think, baby. And you can say, Tara, blow it out your ear, and I'll be okay with it. But why don't we do something more extensive into something like shape-shifting and the different cultures behind it? We've talked about it a little bit, but shape-shifting is something I can get into. Shape-shifting is something that I think people will be really fascinated with, because there is a lot of not only folklore, but even right now, people that believe in those shape-shifting energies. I think that's something we should do down the road. And please, God, tell me you're not going to say, Tara, research it. I can try. How about
I
we
was just going to say.
How about Tara tries and she gives it to you for approval, and then you can say yay or let Nan finish it.
Well, I have one of my favorite authors, as you know, is Ted Andrews.
Yes.
If he was still alive, I would totally study under him. And he did an incredible book on shape-shifting that I've started reading, and
Oh,
it's very interesting.
maybe we'll wait till you finish the book and then we'll get into it.
You just turned the tables on my research.
Because I'm like that. Okay, baby, we got to go. These people have been hanging out with us for enough time now. And we love you guys. We're going to see you next time. But here's the little thing that we were going to tease you with. Nan and I and the collective, the Spirit Essence Collective, we just call it that because it's just easier to slump us all into one little collective. We are going to be going live once a week. We're going to stream to our YouTubes. We're going to stream into our Facebook group, Empowering Intuitive Souls. But we are going to start something called the Unity Circle. Spiritual inspiration. And it's going to be literally where we will take turns. The collective, I have a beautiful group of the collective. If you haven't checked it out, go to the website www.spiriressencebytaradiana.com, click on the collective and see the people that are in there. We're going to be taking turns doing an inspirational talk. There will be a meditation. There will be some little bit of healing work done, and then we will go into messages. Come and join us Tuesdays, 7 p.m. PST time. You're going to be able to check it out in the newsletter, on the calendar, in the website. We're putting it up starting March 4th.
It's going to be exciting. And you guys are definitely going to get to see and meet a whole bunch of really cool practitioners that offer different modalities.
And Nan and I will be there too.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the wonderfully weird and metaphysical.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to follow us for more insights and behind the scenes fun.